Hi, welcome to this week's dynamic practice. I'm calling it Dig Your Heels In. We're focusing on standing postures, particularly single-legged balance postures. We'll be doing some first static, like still in them, and then we're going to try to introduce some movement. It is going to be a challenging balance practice. I might even fall out of the postures while demonstrating. So if you'd like to set up against some wall space or have a piece of heavy furniture around, so you can have a hand on a wall, a hand on on some furniture while you are practicing your balance postures. So in addition to strap and block, find some wall space for balance practices while you're standing. And also when we come down to seated, I'm going to ask you to press your heel into a wall. So we're going to be using the wall sort of like from the top to the bottom today. So let's begin. Feel free to lie on your back. So we'll start supine with your feet flat on the floor. And start taking some deeper inhales and exhales here. And so as you inhale, you're going to breathe into belly. And then you exhale from navel. And then try that another few times. Okay, and then we're going to introduce a vinyasa, some breath-led movement. As you inhale, you're going to arch your back and press the tip of your tailbone into the floor. So there's more space to breathe into belly. And then on exhale, draw your navel in and slide your tailbone forward. And you go back and forth like this. So inhale, extension of your lumbar spine. And then exhale, some flexion of your lumbar spine, engagement of abdomen down toward the floor. And you go back and forth like this, rocking your hips back and forth at the pace of your breathing. All right, and you can continue doing what you're doing with your low back. We're going to add some footwork as well. As you arch your back on inhale, also rock onto your heels. So your toes lift. And then as you exhale, press your low back into the floor. You're also going to press your toes down and lift your heels. So you go back and forth like this. Inhale, extension of spine. Press your heels down, lift your toes. And as you exhale, tailbone forward, press your toes down, lift your heels. So go back and forth like this. Mind's eye to your feet, since we will be working on some balance postures today. It's helpful to really connect with your feet, become very familiar with the feet, have the feet develop a lot of sensitivity. So you know where you are in space when you're just on one foot. So go back and forth like this another few times. Arching your back on inhale, rock onto heels. Exhale, low back down, rock onto toes. Deep breath in. And big exhale. Okay, great. And then relax from there. Wiggle toes a little bit. Mind's eye to feet. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, you're going to take your right ankle on top of left thigh. And then from here, you can either hold the back of your hamstring, or if you like to hold your shin, you can do that. You're going to draw the legs in toward your chest. And as you're drawing the whole thing in, I'm hoping that there's a stretch on your outer right hip. So from here, your right foot, the foot that is closer to your face, you can explore some ankle movements. Take your right ankle around in some circular movements. All right, so do that a few times in one direction. Do it a few times in your other direction. And then after the ankle movements, you can also open your right toes as you inhale, and exhale, squeeze the soles of your feet, like you're making a fist with your feet. Go back and forth like that a few times. And once again, this is so you can have some visualization of your foot. You can look at the foot, experience the foot, move the foot around, become very familiar with the sole of your foot and the muscles that control your toes. All right. very good. And then you place left foot on floor, right foot on the floor, and before switching sides, kind of notice the difference between feet. My hope is it feels like your right foot is more kind of present, like you're more aware of your right foot at this point, because we've been working it a little more. So take a deep breath in, and then exhale, left ankle on top of right thigh. You're going to draw the whole thing in and either hold your hamstring or you can hold your shin and draw the whole thing in. So as you're hugging your legs in, I'm looking for a stretch on the outside left leg, around the hip, maybe thigh. So give your knee a good hug. And then the foot that you can see, the foot that's closer to your face, it's your left foot. You're going to make ankle circles. So make the biggest circles you can scribe in the air. And there's several circles in one direction. And then several circles in the other direction. And really commune with your left foot. So you're really experiencing it. Does this ankle feel different than the first side? You can notice that. And after a couple ankle circles, you then open your toes on inhale and exhale. Make a fist with your feet to start mobilizing your toes. There's also a really good pump for the plantar fascia, the connective tissue on the sole of your foot. And it helps your feet get more sensate, so you'll get better instruction from them when you're trying to stand on them, especially just one of them. So go back and forth like this several more times, becoming familiar with the musculature of your feet, how your toes are moving. All right. Very good. And then from there, right foot on the floor, left foot on the floor. All right. So notice your foot fall, press your feet into the floor, drive your feet down. All right, and then please take your strap, and we're going to take the strap around your right foot. So your right leg's going up in the air. Strap around right foot and take it around your big toe mound and your little toe mound. Okay, and so your right leg is up in the air, left leg can go forward along the floor, and from here, so you press your heel up. So it's like the title today is like to dig your heels in. In this orientation, you dig your heels up for extra calf stretch. Stretch across your Achilles heel, your tendon calcaneus. So you press the heel up, open your toes. You can either stay here. If this feels like enough stretch for calf and even hamstring, go ahead and stay here. If it's available, you're going to turn the sole of the foot inward a little, and then you're going to turn the sole of the foot outward a little. And so this gives more stretch around your ankle. So more sensation around maybe inner outer calf. And around the ankle, so warming up the ankle. So we're doing a systems check for your feet, your ankle, and becoming more familiar with your foot movements here in your right foot. So do that a couple more times, alternately inverting and everting your right ankle. Okay, great. And then release, right leg to the floor. You can press your right heel out, draw your left knee in, and take the strap around your left foot. Okay, so right heel presses forward, left heel presses up, and really accentuate the heel work, that your ankle work. So you press your heel up, toes come down, and what it's going to do is highlight calf, your Achilles tendon. You might even get a stretch in the sole of your foot. So as you're pressing your heel up, you're stretching both your calf and your plantar fascia. And if this feels like enough work for today, or even this year, if you have really tight calves, you can stick with this. If it's available, while you're pressing your heel up, turn the sole of your foot inward and then turn the sole of your foot outward. So it's a rather dynamic movement from inner to outer ankle, inner to outer leg. And as you're going back and forth, you might notice the stretches around the calf change, inner outer calf, inner outer ankle. As you go from inversion, which stretches the outside ankle, to eversion, which stretches your inside ankle, you can notice the changes there. The whole time you're pressing your heel up toward the ceiling. All right. Yeah, and this side feels tighter or more open. You can notice that. Left side of our body is different than the right side, so you can catalog the differences. Okay. Very good. And then you come back to center. You release. Take both heels forward. Interlace your fingers. Press both palms beyond your head for a full body stretch. So drive your heels forward, palms back. Take a deep breath in and out. And one more time, take a deep breath in. Okay, great. And then exhale from there, release, and let's come up through hands and knees into downward facing dog. So first downward dog of the practice, hands plant, curl your toes under. Okay. So from here, start by bending the knees. So your knees are bent and lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling. So it's like you're trying to lift your sitting bones up like you're trying to sit on the ceiling. And you keep that lift in your sitting bones as you spike your heels back. So as you spike your heels back, they may or may not go to the floor. So for me, they happen to today, but there's no need for them to go to the floor. As long as you're pressing your heels back, you're doing a good job. So you press your heels back, whether they're down or not, muscle menos doesn't matter. And then from here, lift your toes up a little. Okay, so toes are up. And then from here, the tendency, especially if you're a little hypermobile, is to lock out your knees. So while you keep your heels back, bend your knees ever so slightly. And what that's going to do is engage a muscle on the front side of the shin, tibialis anterior, and it brings the ankle work into sharper relief. So little micro bend of knees, even as you press your heels back, should feel like it gets into the back of your legs a little bit more. So 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Take a big exhale. And one last time, take a deep breath in. Okay, great. And then you bend your knees, step up toward the top of your mat. Drive your feet through the ground and inhale, come halfway up. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, you can fold forward. And then as you come all the way up to standing, reach your arms up overhead and press your hips forward a little. Doesn't have to go into a full back bend, but you're pressing your hips forward to come up to standing. And then exhale, palms come through heart center and by your sides. All right, so a couple sun salutations. Take a deep breath in, arms sweep up overhead. Dig your heels in, drive them down. Press your hips slightly forward. And then exhale, you bend your knees a little bit and lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling as you forward fold. From there, inhale, you can look a couple feet in front of you, bend your knees as much as you need to plant your hands, and step back into plank. Curl your toes under, press your heels back. 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale. And one last time, breath in. And then we're going to lower all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Inhale, lift up into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale, curl your toes under. Lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling in downward facing dog. And then after you lift your sitting bones up, you then drive your heels back. And they'll go down somewhat, whether they're on the mat or not. Again, it doesn't matter. Knees slightly bent and try to lift your toes. So this is stretching out calves through soles of feet. Sitting bones will give you more hamstring stretch if you lift them up. Yeah, one last time here. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, step or hop up to the top of your mat. And when you get there, drive your feet through the floor. Inhale, look a couple feet in front of you, come part way up. Exhale, you refold. And then you come all the way up. As your arms reach up overhead, press your hips forward, drive your heels into the ground. And then exhale from there, palms come through heart center. Okay, so from here, arms sweep up overhead, take a deep breath in, and you're reaching your fingertips up. As you exhale, sit down into chair pose. All right, so we're in chair. This is the beginning of a sun salutation B. Drive your heels through the ground, lift your toes a little bit, and then keep your heels down and send your knees as far forward as you can. Okay? If this feels too much for the knees, feel free to come up a little bit, but you can still press your knees forward as you press your heels down. So basically, the more the knees go forward, the harder it is to keep your heels down. The more you keep your heels down, the harder it is for your knees to go forward. So feel that work in the low legs. 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale. And one last time. And then forward fold. Lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling as you drive your heels down. Take a deep breath in, come part way up. And then exhale, we're going to step back into plank. So you're in plank here. Drive your heels back. 2 more breaths here. Drive your toes into the floor. Heels back. So really dynamic work for your toes, for your feet. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, you can lower halfway or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. And press them into the floor. Inhale, lift your lungs up into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale into downward facing dog. So from here, heels bolt back. Lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling and keep a micro bend of the knees so they're not locked out. Micro bend of knees. It brings all the ankle work out in more stretching calves, more work on the front of your shins. So our brain can really infuse into our feet and ankles. Really feel what's happening in feet. Okay, very good. And then from here, you're going to look forward, and you can get your right foot forward however you need to. If you need to move your hands out of the way, if you need to come all the way up to standing and reorient yourself, you can go ahead and do that. Okay? But the right foot's forward, left heel for now. You're going to drive your heel into the floor. And more specifically, press your back outer heel into the floor. All right, and then from here, you're going to reach your arms forward, draw your shoulder blades into the back, but your lungs are reaching forward. All right, so back heel drives down, front foot drives into the floor, and as you inhale, squeeze your low back muscles, and you're going to come up into warrior 1. All right, so you're reaching up, even as you're driving your feet down. So really, even as there's a lot of like upward flow here, especially in arms, drive your feet through the floor, mind's eye into feet. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale. Back outer heel drives into floor. Take a deep breath in. Okay, and then plant your hands. We'll go back into plank position. Drive both heels back. Take an inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale, lift into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale back into downward facing dog. Sitting bones lift. Drive your heels back. All right, a lot of fine tuning with the legs. Knees ever so slightly bent, even as you press your heels back. Knees ever so slightly bent. Sitting bones up. Knees bent. Heels back. And then if you can, you lift your toes a bit. All right, so take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale left foot, you can do whatever you need to step it up. So your left foot's forward, back heel on the ground for now. Okay, so that back outer heel, you root it into the floor. Tendency is going to be to dump onto the inside foot. So you're going to drive your back outer heel down. Press the soles of both feet straight down into the floor and reach your arms forward. Okay? You know, your shoulder blades in, fingertips forward. You press your feet down, squeeze the muscles in your low back to come into warrior one on the other side. All right, so there's a lot of updraft here, a lot of updraft energy. Lungs are lifting, fingers are lifting, that's all fine and good. Mind's eye to your feet and really feel your footfall. Really sort of analyze the entire front foot's driving into the floor, the entire back foot's driving into the floor. And that familiarity is going to help us out when we're standing on just one foot. So 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Take a big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. Okay, great. And then hands plant onto the mat. Step back into plank. Drive your heels back. Press your toes down. Take a huge inhale here. And then exhale, you can lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Press your feet into the floor. Lift your lungs forward in the cobra or upward facing dog. And then skyrocket the sitting bones into downward facing dog. All right, so you got sitting bones up, knees slightly bent, heels back, and then lift your toes. So a lot of good work in the legs here. Downward facing dog 2 more times here. Take a deep breath in, big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. Okay, and then step or hop up to the front of your mat. When you get there, drive your heels through the floor. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, you fold. And you're gonna bend your knees, arms sweep up overhead. Drive your heels through the floor. Heels through the floor, then send your knees as far forward as they can go. And there's 3 more breaths in chair. So you drive your heels down, lift your toes, knees as far forward as they can go. And 2 more. Take a deep breath in. Take a big exhale. And one last time. Now to come up from chair, you keep your heels driven down, press your hips forward to come up. And it should feel like your hamstrings recruit, your glutes recruit, and you come up to a standing posture. Tadasana. And take a deep breath. Big inhale. Big exhale. Okay. Great. So from here, you're gonna, and I'm gonna mirror you at this point. So your right foot's forward, left foot's back. Okay. So I know this is my left foot, but we're gonna mirror for now. So your right foot's forward, hands onto hips, and look at your back foot. Look at your left heel. You're gonna slide your left heel back a little further, drive the outside edge down, and feel that footfall in your back foot. You're gonna try to keep that back foot pressing down. You're gonna tilt your front hips underneath back hips, and then from here, hand can go down to wherever it goes. You can also use the block for this, although I'll just demonstrate with my hand on my shin. Roll your navel up, and then reach your arm up toward the sky. Now, eyes can be wherever. They can be facing down, straight ahead, up to the ceiling, but wherever your eyes are, your mind's eye, your attention is on your feet, and press your feet straight through the floor. So legs are active. Especially if you're hyper flexible, the tendency might be to lock out your knees. So keep your knees buoyant. The legs are unlocked. Keeps them buoyant, engaged. And there's 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Take a big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. All right, great. Hand back to hip. Inhale, come all the way up. And let's just switch sides. So now your left foot's forward. Okay. Toes are pointing forward. Back heel. Mind's eye to back foot. The heel's going to go a little further back than your toes. And you're going to press the heel down. It's particularly outside foot. The whole thing's pressing down, but the tendency is for a collapse. So you add a little more attention to the outside heel. All right, now press your feet straight down. So there's some firmament with your feet into the floor. Hands can be on hips. Cut your front hip underneath back hip. And lengthen lungs forward, and then take your hand down to wherever it goes. If you're using a block, go ahead and use that. Okay. All right. And then eyes can be wherever you'd like, but your attention, your awareness is into the footfall. So you notice the footfall. Even though there's a lot more going on in the pose, of course. Roll your belly up, reach your arms up toward the sky. Okay? Even though there can be a lot of other things to focus on, really press the feet straight down to the floor. So there's a lot of activity in feet, a lot of knowledge we're developing about what our foot feels like on the ground. And 3 more breaths here. Take a deep breath in, big exhale, breath in, big exhale. And one last time, breathe in, hand back to hip, inhale, come all the way up. Have your toes point to the side of the mat, and we'll take a wide-legged forward fold. Find your footfall, bend your knees a little bit, and then lift your sitting bones way back and up as you forward fold. All right, so as much weight on your hands as you'd like. I would encourage you to have less weight on your hands and more weight on the feet. If it feels okay for your balance, you can even take your hands to your hips. Draw your shoulder blades in so you can breathe more into your upper lungs. And then drive your feet down, lift your inner thighs up. So press the feet through the floor. Like you're trying to leave a footprint in concrete that is almost dry. You feel your heels dig in, big toe, little toe mounds dig in. 2 or 3 more breaths here. Okay, so from here, come about halfway up, bend your knees a little bit, and to come the rest of the way up, press your hips forward to arrive up. So we're recruiting back body, hamstrings, glutes, low back to come up to standing. Okay, great. So from here, let's step up to the top of the mat. All right, so we're going to take 2 versions of pyramid next. You're going to keep your right foot forward, and I'm not mirroring at this point. Right foot stays forward, left foot steps back. Now you're going to turn your hips to the top of the mat. Okay? And for a pyramid, you're going to bend your front knee to start, pubic bone back, lungs forward. Now, as you're cantilevered over your pyramid, you're going to notice that there's a lot of weight in the front foot. Okay? If you absolutely need your hand on something, feel free to take it to the floor or to a block. But if it's available, you're going to drive your back heel down, big toe mound, roots up front. Drive it down. See if you can notice your footfall as your lungs are cantilevered forward. There's a fair amount of weight in your front foot. Drive that foot down and feel your footfall. And if it feels safe to do it, if you're confident in your balance, maybe press outside foot into the floor, inside foot into the floor. Kind of notice the range you have in your front foot here. So there's 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Exhale. Front foot drives down. Take a deep breath in. Okay, great. Now drive your foot into the floor. Inhale, lift up. And to step forward, you're going to lean forward, bend your front knee a little, and you're going to press your hips forward up into mountain pose. All right, so notice the after effects in your right leg. All right. Very nice. So now we'll work your left leg, hopefully the same amount. So step your right foot back. Now your left foot's your front foot. I always start with bending my knee and turning my hips forward. Okay, so adjust your stance so that you make that easy to do. All right, and then mind's eye to feet immediately. Drive your feet through the floor. With your front knee bent, pubic bone back, lungs forward. All right, and we're over our front foot. So we have like visual confirmation of the foot. We can also get kinesthetic confirmation of the front foot. So if you need your hand on something, by all means take it down either to a block or to the floor. But otherwise, you're just going to analyze, look at, and if you're confident in your balance, even play with your front footfall. So your front heel's driving down, big toe, little toe mound drive down. You can rock onto the outside of your front foot. You can rock onto the inside of your front foot. You kind of notice the range of options you have bearing your weight within balance here on your left foot. And of course, things might be tighter over here. They might be more flexible over here. You might have a different understanding of how your left leg works than your right leg. Okay, just kind of notice what you can notice. Notice all these things. All right, very nice. So you're going to drive your front foot into the floor. Press your feet down to come upright. So spine's upright. And then from here, bend your front knee, lungs forward. And to bring your body into mountain pose, you press your hips forward. And then we land in Tadasana. Okay, very good. So let's try that pyramid on the first side again. Please step your left foot back. All right, and you're gonna bend your front knee, turn your hips, bend the front knee a little bit, pubic bone back. So this is option number one. Option number two, you're gonna add even more weight over your front foot as you reach your arm forward. Okay, so drive your front foot into the ground. Notice, notice, notice. All right, so you're squeezing your low back muscles, squeeze your shoulder blades in a little bit, using the same muscles we were using in Warrior One to come up to Warrior One. Drive your foot into the floor. Notice your foot fall. And because there's more weight cantilevered, your foot's responsible for more of our body weight, front foot. So notice that. 2 or 3 more breaths here. Take a deep inhale. Big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. Okay, great. So from here, bend your front knee a little. Arms are going to come back as you press your hips forward. So as you inhale, press your hips forward, land in mountain pose. And notice the after effects, all that work from our right leg, keeping us in balance as we're stepping forward. Take a deep breath in. Okay, and then please step your right foot back. This is pyramid on the other side with our left foot forward. Turn your hips forward. Bend your knee again like we did in the previous pyramid. So your pubic bone back, lungs forward. Okay? And this is a good option number one. Okay, so you can press your foot down. Notice your foot fall. All right, and if you are very flexible, make sure your knee is bent just a little. Okay? And if your hamstring's tighter, you can bend your front knee more. That doesn't matter. Option number two is you reach your arms forward. So now we're using our low back muscles, draw your shoulder blades in. All right, and so even though there's a lot happening upstairs here, take your mind's eye down to the foundation of this whole pose. This front foot, drive it into the ground. Notice the activity. Your calf is probably working extra hard, pressing your big toe, little toe mound down. There might be a lot of muscles in the foot itself. Try and keep the foot together. All right, and then you can press the foot down, maybe even play with it, inside foot, outside foot, rooting it down into the floor. Keep on breathing. 2 more breaths here. Okay, so you bend your front knee to come out of this and step up. You're going to press your hips forward. Hands come next to your hips. Up in mountain pose, you land. Notice the after effects. Drive both feet through the ground with firm intention. Drive your heels down. Big toe, little toe mounds drive down. All right. Very good. Okay, so that's the sequence to really get our brains into our feet for our 2-legged postures. So now we're going to switch to the 1-legged postures. Okay, so if you need to find some wall space, by all means take some wall space. So if I want to work with some wall space, I just have one hand like this. Okay, so I can hold on something that's not going to move. So a big piece of furniture can work as well. Okay, so from here, you're going to, and I'm mirroring you, you're going to transfer your weight onto your right foot. Mind's eye into your foot. Drive that foot down. Drive your right foot down. And then from here, draw your left knee up. Now this is hands free. All right, and I'd like you to just notice this. There's a lot of work in your foot trying to keep you from going outside of your base of support in the foot. Drive your heel down, big toe mound, little toe mound down. And notice your ankle and your shin's attempts to keep you in balance. 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, and deep breath in. Okay, and then come back into Tadasana. Okay, weight transfers over to the left side. Drive your left foot into the floor. Drive it into the floor so much that you don't need your right leg anymore. All right, so now the foot floats. As you drive your left heel down, draw your right knee up. All right, and then notice your legs' attempts to keep you in balance. All right, so you're driving your heel down, big toe mound down, little toe mound down, and it's going to waver, it's going to vacillate between those two in order to keep you upright. All right. Lungs lift, we're breathing a lot, mind's eye into your feet. So you can really commune with your left foot. 1 more breath here, take a big inhale. Okay, and then right foot down. Tadasanate for a moment. All right, drive your heels down, hips ever so slightly press forward, like maybe 1/4 of an inch. It helps activate your hips and legs. All right, and then weight transfers to your right foot again. Drive your foot down. Drive it down so much that you don't need your left foot anymore. And then you're going to draw your left knee up. This is option number 1, we just did that. Option number 2 is to cross your left ankle over right thigh. Okay? So, you're either here or you're here. Your knee is up or your ankle is crossed. Okay? With either of those, you can start reaching your arms forward and setting your hips back a little. And then you press your hips forward to come back up to standing. So maybe try that 2 more times. I don't care how far you go. So you're going to, like you're sitting down into chair. As you sit your hips back, you reach your arms forward. And then your hips press forward to come up. Hands next to hips. And 1 last time. You're going to sit down into a 1-legged chair as your hips go back, fingers forward. And then you press your hips forward to come up. Release back into mountain pose. Pause there for a moment. Okay, so this is where we're doing the single-legged movement practices. So, notice the extra work in the hips as well. You're going to transfer weight into your left foot. Okay, drive your left foot into the floor. Lift your right knee. Okay, and this is option number 1. You can do the bent knee and extended leg with your right knee up. Okay, the option number 2 is to take your right ankle on top of left thigh. All right, and you can focus here. I invite you to attempt to sit your hips back as you reach your arms forward. It's like a single-legged chair, and then as you exhale, press your hips forward to come up. And try that several times. So take a deep breath in, you sit down, and exhale, you come back up. Take a deep breath in, and exhale. And 1 more time. Breathe in. And exhale. Press your hips forward. Land both feet onto the floor. Let's take a Tadasana. All right. Great. So let's, we're going to keep our right foot forward. Step your left foot back. Right foot forward, left foot back. All right, so this is where like the options are gonna really kind of multiply. So you can always, just make sure you don't fall over, basically. That's the, if you start to feel like you're off balance, just bring both feet down. It's really easy to fall out of this, right? You're just gonna bring your other foot down and you'll be okay, okay? So we're in now Warrior 1, right? Right foot's forward, left foot's on the ground. You're gonna reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Now as you exhale, reach your arms forward. And what we're going to do is slowly and hopefully with some balance, you're going to press your front foot into the floor, press your hips forward, and bring your left knee forward and up. All right, if you need to land it, go ahead. Otherwise, try to go back into warrior one from there. So you press your back heel to the floor and you come back upright. Okay, so let's try that one more time. The intention, my hope is that some of you, at least over time, will be able to just stay on your right foot. Okay, so you're going to reach forward, right foot drives into the floor, and as you press your hips forward, draw your what was formerly your back leg. You bend your knee up, and now your left knee is up in the air. And then from here, you reach your arms forward, bend your standing leg as you bolt your back heel into the ground again. Come back up into the warrior one. And then from there, press your hips forward, come up to standing. Okay, so if you are in balance, you'll be able to do this a little more slowly, and that will come over time. But hopefully this also feels like strength building as well. So all this is going to happening at once. Step your right foot back, please. All right, and then from here, so you're in a warrior one, okay? So left foot's forward, right heel's back. You're turning your hips toward the front of the mat. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, transfer the weight into the front foot by reaching your fingers forward. And then you drive that foot into the floor, and you bring the back leg forward, knee up toward chest. Standing on just your left leg the whole time if you can. All right, and so now we're in a one-legged standing practice. And then from there, you slide your right heel back toward the back of your mat, reach your arms forward, and then reapproach warrior one. When your back heel drops into the floor, lift your lungs and fingers up toward the sky. Okay, and we're gonna try that one more time. So deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you're gonna reach forward, weight transfers over your front foot. From here, drive your heel into the ground, and you're gonna come up, it's like through Tadasana almost, but you bring your right knee up toward your heart center. Left heel drives down into the floor. Mind's eye on your left foot the entire time, as much as you can. Okay, and then from here, right heel goes back, fingertips forward, sit down on the left side, bend your front knee, and then once your back heel lands, you come up into the warrior one, and then you come up to standing Tadasana. So you press your hips forward, land both feet. All right, cool. So that's another part of a vinyasa that we're going to work with. We're going to combine the two movement practices now. So let me just demonstrate what we're going to do, and then let's do them. So from warrior one, my right foot's forward. Okay, we're going to come forward. You're going to press your hips forward, knee up, or option number two, ankle crosses. And then from here, you sit down and you press your hips forward, uncross, and then you send your left leg back. Inhale, come up to warrior one, and we'll try that several times, okay? I'll guide you through it. If you just want to practice a part of that, the part that most interests you, or if one part of this feels like it's really beneficial for you to work on, stick with that, okay? But I'm going to go through this vinyasa on each side a couple of times. So let's start in Tadasana. And you're going to shift your weight into your right foot. All right, right foot into the floor. And then from here, you're going to draw your left knee up, cross it over, and let's sit down. So you sit down in a sort of a half chair, reach your arms forward, and then you come up to standing, press your hips forward, unlace your leg. You're going to take your left heel back, reach your fingers forward as your left heel lands far behind you, come up into a warrior one. And then you reach forward. From here, press your hips forward and either draw your left knee into chest or cross it. And then from here, everyone can sit down, reach your arms forward as your hips go back, and then you press your hips forward to come up. Unlace your leg if it's laced. Reach your arms forward as you land your back heel. Inhale, you come up to warrior one. And then exhale, you reach forward. Press your hips forward to come up. Left knee up toward chest, or you cross it. And then you sit down, hips back as you reach your fingers forward. And you press your hips forward, and this time we'll come into standing posture. Tadasanate for a moment. Okay, great. So notice there's blood everywhere. Legs are working a lot, breath is working a lot, torso's busy keeping itself together too. All right, so can we try that on the other side, please? So again, we're starting from standing Tadasana, mountain pose. Transfer the weight to your left foot. And then you're going to draw your right knee up, and you either keep it there or cross your ankle. And then from here, you sit down, reach your fingertips forward. And then you press your hips forward to come up. You swing your right leg back, reach your fingertips forward, bend your standing leg, and once your back heel connects with your mat, squeeze the muscles in your back, come up to warrior one. And then from here, you reach forward, a lot of weight over front foot. Press your hips forward to come up to standing. Right knee up, and you can keep it there. Cross legs if you'd like. And then from here, sit down. As your hips slide back, reach your fingers forward. And then you press your hips forward to come up. Unlace your leg if it's laced. And you're going to press your right heel toward the back of your mat. Fingers reach forward. Land your back heel on the ground and lift up into warrior one. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, you reach forward. Weights over front foot. Drive your front foot down. Right knee comes up high. Cross it if it's available. And you sit down, reach your fingers forward as your hips slide back. And then press your hips forward to come up. Both feet land this time. Take a mountain pose. Dig your heels in. Hips press slightly forward. And your lungs relax up toward the ceiling. And take another couple breaths here. All right, great work. So notice all the after effects. My hope is your brain can really commune with your feet. So we've become very familiar with what is literally the furthest thing away from our minds. Okay. Great, and so we'll take an Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You can start with your knees bent, and we're forward folding like this. So hands can be on shins, hands can be on thighs, shins, feet to the floor. All right, so yeah, after a lot of work for calves, hamstrings, we now get a chance to stretch it out. Keep on driving your heels down. And then with your heels driven down, if you want to get a little more stretch, just shift your hips forward like a ½ inch or so. The tendency is going to be like rock onto the toes. So dig your heels in this pose, really anchors the back of your legs. And then you shift your hips forward just a little. It helps maximize the stretch in the back of your legs without a lot of pulling of your spine. So there's 3 more breaths here. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. Deep breath in. Big exhale. And one last time. Breath in. Okay, great. So from here, hands to hips. And you lift your lungs up. Press your hips forward to come up to standing. All right, great. So we'll do that twice more. Grab your block. And we're going to put the block right in front of your right foot. So if Uttanasana already gives you a lot of stretch, and or your foot is not like big enough to have your big toe mound up on the block, just take the pose we just did, Uttanasana, with both feet on the floor. Okay? But this is what our right foot is doing at this point. So the heel is down, the toe mounds are up on the block. And what I'd like you to do is you step your left foot forward so that your heels are in line with one another. Because my right foot is up visually, I don't want my toes to line up. I would rather have my heels line up, which means visually your toes don't line up, okay? All right, so from here, so it's just my right foot on the block, my left foot is on the ground. And I'm gonna bend my knees a little bit. I'm hoping there's a lot more calf stretch here as we forward fold. Okay, you drive your heels down. Try to lift your toes. Lift your sitting bones up in the air. And then you keep digging your heels in, bend your knees ever so slightly, and that targets the back of your ankle and your back calf. All right, and so at least for me, this feels like it increases the stretch all the way up, even into my low back. So you might notice that even like toward bottom ribs, like where the QL is. But definitely highlights the calf muscle here. So 3 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, breath in, big exhale, and one last time, breath in. Okay, so if your block is underneath your foot, manually with your hands, slide the block out, and then you can press your feet into the floor, hips press forward, drive your heels into the ground. All right, we're back up. All right, and let's try that on the other side. So now you're gonna place the block in front of your left foot and take solely your left foot. Heel down, big toe, little toe mound up onto the block. Okay? So from here, so that'll stay where it is, and you're going to try to line up your heels as best you can. Okay? So visually, like because this foot's at an angle, my left toes are not in line visually with my right toes, but it feels like my heels are more or less side by side. Okay? So from there, take a deep breath in, you bend your knees a little, and then pubic bone back and up, and exhale, forward fold. And hands can go to thighs, shins, maybe even the block or the floor. All right, and keep on digging your heels down, opening your toes. Sitting bones lift up. All right, and you drive your heels down. If it's available, you tilt your hips forward just a tiny bit, but really maximizing what's happening in your left calf. So heels down, sitting bones up, and then bend your knees ever so slightly. Helps engage your legs a little more. So with this flexion of your ankle, of course, we're highlighting the calf, but notice that you might also feel more of a hamstring stretch, stretch around the SI joint, perhaps even your low back. Notice what you can notice here. A few more breaths. Okay, so from here, manually, like with your hands, take the block out from under the foot so both feet are pressing down to the floor. You can move the block out of the way. And then from here, you can press your feet into the floor. Slide your hips forward as you lift your lungs back up. Take a huge inhale. Arms sweep up overhead. And bend your knees a little bit. Forward fold, plant your hands. Take a deep breath in, look forward. And let's just step back into our downward facing dog. Press your heels back. Lift your toes. And hopefully after that stretch, it feels like your heels are a bit further down. There's more openness on the back of your legs. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. And one last time, breath in. Okay, great. And then knees to the ground. Okay, great. So now we're going to orient ourselves facing the wall for seated postures. So I'm going to turn my mat. So my mat is against the wall. And that will allow me to press my heels into the wall for a couple postures here. Okay. The first posture, Here, so once you get yourself situated, and of course if there is no wall space, you can, all these postures are typically done without a wall. For me, it's really helpful to have some feedback, and the wall's giving some feedback to the posture. So the first pose, Dandasana. Your hands can be by your sides or even slightly behind you. And really feel the connection of your heels into the wall, and lift your lungs. All right, so the heels press into the wall. The tendency is to lock out the knees, so with the heels pressing in, is just the tiniest bend of the knees. Heels press into the wall, sitting bones slide back a little. So there's a fair amount of activity in your legs. 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale. And one last time, breath in. Okay, you're gonna keep your left heel into the wall. Please place your right foot somewhere down the leg, so the inside of your foot. This is Janu Shirshasana, either in calf, around knee, into inner thigh, whatever you want to do. Okay. Keep your left heel driving. Inhale, lengthen, bit of a twist. Fold down your left leg. And as you're forward folding, just make sure that your spine feels okay, and you focus on driving your heel into the wall, sliding your sitting bone away from the wall, and all the while maintaining a little micro bend. And if you don't know if your leg is locked out or not, use one hand, put a palm on your kneecap, and press your kneecap into your hand. And that guarantees that you're not locking out your knee. Okay, and then you can just get rid of it. Okay, so we're gonna forward fold another 3 breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, breath in, big exhale, and one last time, breathe in. Okay, and then exhale from there. Drive your heel into the wall, come all the way up, use your back body, those warrior 1 muscles, and you extend both legs into Dandasana. Drive both heels into the wall, sitting bones back, and let's try that on the other side. So you're gonna place your left foot somewhere down the inseam of your right leg. Okay. Drive your heel into the wall, sitting bone back, and micro bend of the knee. Inhale, lengthen. Roll your belly to the right and fold down your right leg. All right. And once again, there are a ton of things you can do with your upper body here in Janu Shirshasana. But to stick with the theme this week, you press the heel and dig your heel into the wall, slide your sitting bones back, and then you can take one hand to your kneecap and press your kneecap into your hand. And that's if you don't know if you're locking out your knee or not. A little bit of activity helps squeeze the muscles behind your knee a little bit, the tendons. And then you forward fold down your right leg. Pause here. Notice the activity in your leg. Notice the heel driving into the wall and what that does for the seeming stability of the posture. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. Yeah, one last time, breathe in. Okay, great. And then inhale, you make your way back up, back into Dandasana, the staff pose. Drive heels into wall, sitting bones away from wall. Both hands can come to knees to make sure that the legs are engaged and unlocked. So Janu Shirshasana is option number 1. So again, your right foot onto inner thigh. Option number 2 is some type of half bound lotus, which we've been sort of opening up over the course of our practice today. So if you know the full lotus, you can even bind if you want, but I'm not gonna demonstrate that. Not really worried about that. If your ankle's on top of your thigh, that's fine. Notice that the leg's gonna wanna, your straight leg's gonna wanna lock if there's a weight on it. So you can use one hand, press into your knee, and just make sure your left leg is unlocked. Unlocked here. Inhale, you lengthen, a little bit of twist to the left, and fold down your left leg. And the more you fold, the onus is on your straight leg to remain straight but unlocked. Okay? And there's going to be more sort of leg weight on your left leg. So we'll pause here. And again, if this doesn't work for your knee, just go back to the first option, whatever you did there. And there's 3 more breaths here. Heel into wall, sitting bones back, knee unlocked, so your leg is dynamic. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. And exhale from there. Use your back body to come upright. Dandasanate for a moment. Press your heels into the wall. Sitting bones slide back. Knees unlocked. Legs dynamic. Take a deep breath in. And exhale from there. Left leg on top of right. Okay. And your heel's going to press into the wall. Sitting bones slides back. Take whatever variation you want here. If you're going to try the half-bound lotus, go ahead. But the knee is unlocked. Lengthen, twist, and then you fold down your right leg. Now, as you come forward toward your straight leg, the leg that's on top of your right leg, right? This shin is going to push down into your leg more. So that might lock out the knee. So you need a little more oomph in your straight leg. So the knees are pressing up. As the heel presses forward, sitting bones back, knee presses up a little, and that keeps your leg dynamic. All right, yeah. So you drive your heel into the wall. Pause here. Breathe another few times here. Okay, great. And then as you inhale, make your way back up. Press both heels into the wall. Heels into wall, sitting bones back, hands onto knees. And you can press your knees into your hands. Inhale in Dandasana. Now it's Paschimottanasana, forward fold with both legs in front. Your hands can be on shins or thighs. You can take your peace fingers around your big toes. And you're going to press your heels into the wall as you slide your sitting bones back. Right? And the tendency is to lock out knees. We've done this enough. A little bit of knee bend goes a long way. Helps protect the joints. All right, so heels forward, sitting bones back. A little bit of buoyancy and dynamicism in your knees. And pause here. So legs are fairly active. Legs are doing most of the work. Another few breaths here. Okay, great. And then inhale, make your way back up. All right, great. And then from here, you can lie on the back. All right, so after a big forward fold practice, we're going to get a twist. So please, you shift your hips to the right, and then your right knee is going to come over and across. And this is option number 1. So my right knee and hip come over and across. My left hand is holding the outside of the leg. My down leg, you can press it forward, drive it out if you'd like. Option number 2 is you bend your bottom leg and reach your right hand down and hold. And then the foot that you're holding, you press that heel out to the right. So you even sort of use the power of your foot muscles to get a bigger stretch in what's now the bottom psoas, your left psoas. And if this doesn't work for your knee, you just keep the bottom leg straight, still press the heel out. And 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, and one last time. Okay, great. And release from that. Pause in the center for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, shift your hips over to the left. And your left leg's going to come over. Hip follows for a twist. And so right hand holds your knee. Your bottom leg can extend out along the ground. And that's a great variation, option number 1. If it's available, you can bend your bottom leg with your left hand, hold foot, and you press that heel out as well. So yeah, we did a lot of work with the legs and a lot of work with leg and hip stability today. So this is a good way to sort of counter all those efforts. Breathe into belly. Another few times here. All right. Very good. So from there you can release and you place your feet on the floor in preparation for a relaxed bridge pose, which you can find your block. All right. So mind's eye into feet. So feel the foot fall. That's what we've been working on in very active ways today. And then you press your feet into the floor, press your hips up toward the ceiling to come up into bridge, and then exhale, land your sacrum on the block. All right. Very good. So we did a lot of work with feet today, mind's eye into the feet, and notice your foot fall on the ground. Of course, your feet aren't really bearing much weight at all at this point. So this is some subtle footfall work. You can press the outsides of your feet into the floor, and then alternate and press the insides of your feet into the floor. Notice how you're able to do that with some acumen, because we've been doing that all practice. Okay. And then press both sides of both feet straight down into the ground. Great. Feet pressing the floor. You're going to engage your glutes and lift your hips up off the block. Block comes out of the way. And then extend your legs forward into Shavasana. Okay, so you line your back. Soften down, settle in. And very gently press one heel slightly forward. So there's a bit of a length along the back of your calf. And you relax your efforts on that leg. And then very gently press your other heel forward. So slightly more length along the back of that leg. And then exhale, relax. All right. So we did a lot of work staying upright today through digging down. So notice all of your efforts, the after effects in your legs, in your feet. And allow all the spaces that felt like there was a lot of effort during this practice. Allow them to relax and soften. So you feel the weight of your feet, shins. Did a lot of work around your knees. Allow the back of your knees to widen and relax. You feel the weight of your femur bones, thigh bones soft, hips relax. We did a fair amount of work through our back bodies, so notice all the contact points along your spine, your ribs. And relax your torso into those contact points. Heart center soft. notice your any thoughts, relax your thoughts. We did a lot of thoughtful work today. Balance is a lot of attention building, like really sharp focus. So from here, without losing attention, just soften your focus to the point where you can notice all sensations inside. So notice the entire interior landscape of your body. And then soften it even further so you can notice not only what's happening inward, but also outward in whatever room you're practicing in. There might be some sounds in the room or outside. Without trying to direct your attention, notice all the things. All right. Very good. So lazily guide your awareness back to your breathing. Notice your breath and start taking some gently deeper inhales and deeper exhales. Breathing into belly, breathing in the heart center. Take a deeper breath and breathe through your hips, through your legs, like you're breathing into your feet. And breathe through your shoulders, down your arms, as if you're breathing into your palms. And then guide a breath into your brain, along interior skull, and exhale down your face. Great, and from here, please draw one knee into your chest. Give your knee a good hug. Sweep a breath across your low back. And then same thing on the other side. Switch legs, draw your knee in, sweep a breath across your low back. And then hug both knees in. Take a deep breath in and exhale. You roll over to one side, pause on your side. And then the next time you inhale, gently make your way up to a comfortable seat, cross-legged or otherwise. All right. Very good. So thank you for practicing with me. Hopefully this felt like it provided some firmament both to your practice and also to your day. Have a good one. Namaste. Take care.